Welcome to the Faith and Feelings podcast. My name is Taylor Joy, and I'm passionate about helping you untangle and honor your emotions, authentically practice your faith, and integrate both into your everyday life so that you can experience the goodness and delight that comes from living in relationship with yourself, God, and others. Thank you for joining me. Let's get started. Hi, friends. If you've been following along, you know that today we're kicking off our Advent series. Over the next few weeks, we'll be walking through Bette Dickinson's devotional, Making Room in Advent, 25 Devotions for a Season of Wonder. This week, we'll be reading days 1 through 6. Along the way, I'll be sharing 5 of my favorite devotions from the book here on the podcast. And each Monday, we'll create space to notice and reflect on what God might be stirring within us. Today, we're entering the Christmas story at a moment of quiet hiddenness. Zechariah has just finished his priestly service in the temple, still carrying the weight of the angel's unbelievable message that he and his wife Elizabeth, long marked by barrenness, would conceive a son. Now, away from the crowds and the noise of Jerusalem, Elizabeth withdraws into 5 months of solitude, a space of secrecy, stillness, and waiting. We'll read Luke 1, 23 through 25, and then I'll read Bette's devotion, Making Room for Solitude. Luke 1, 23 through 25. When his time of service was completed, he returned home. After this, his wife Elizabeth became pregnant, and for 5 months remained in seclusion. "The Lord has done this for me," she said. "In these days he has shown his favor and taken away my disgrace among the people." When Elizabeth became pregnant, she didn't just receive the seed of a child, but also the seed of God's love for her. "The Lord has done this for me," she states. And where would that seed grow? In solitude. The text says that for 5 months, Elizabeth hid in seclusion. According to the Blue Letter Bible website, the word seclusion means to conceal on all sides or entirely, to hide. In solitude, Elizabeth removed herself from outside influences that would have condemned and defined her most of her life. Perhaps amid the many years of shame and rejection, Elizabeth's soul had gone to sleep, her true self hidden away in fear. The identity given to her by the world was the barren old woman. Barrenness in her cultural context would have brought shame on her family. There was no future without a child. And perhaps this was the identity she had come to accept. But now that she was pregnant, God was giving her a new identity, a new future, one that came from him. Maybe Elizabeth sought solitude to take this all in, to expand with wild wonder into the full realization of God's action in her life. He had not forgotten her. He was fulfilling her deepest desires. In solitude, Elizabeth could conceal and protect the work the master artist was crafting within her. And while John the Baptist was unfolding within Elizabeth, she unfolded in the womb of God. In the initial stages of a pregnancy, a child is fragile. He or she is vulnerable to outside influences and dependent on the mother for nourishment and protection. Elizabeth was in this fragile state, tender to the questioning and criticism of others, vulnerable to outside forces and inside ones. The miracle work God was doing in her needed time to germinate under the surface, hidden so it could grow without interference. Protected in God's loving hospitality, solitude became a place of enclosure and safety for Elizabeth, a place of loving union with her Creator, a place where she could let down her defenses from the years of shame and receive his loving gaze upon her. There, she could draw from the eternal source of his love, wisdom, and energy to become something new. God, like a loving host, provided Elizabeth with what she needed to grow into her truest self. A self that was free, humble, open, confident, and strong. Removed from the opinions of others, she could detach herself from their voices and attach herself to God's voice. She could shed her previous name, the barren old woman, and receive her true name, Elizabeth, which means, "My God is my oath." God himself was Elizabeth's promise. He was the one worth waiting for. Elizabeth received the gift of John within her womb, but God himself was the true gift. And so her name and calling would embody this truth. From this renewed identity, Elizabeth could also nurture others to arise into their true identity too, not in the least Mary and John. Solitude has always been a place where I too have awakened to my truest self. In solitude, I am forced to turn inward. And this inward turning awakens me to his work in the inner world that I often miss amid the frenzy of the outer world. When I withdraw from the many voices of others telling me who I am, I can more clearly hear his voice and receive his name for me. Like Elizabeth, in solitude, I am nurtured in the womb of God as he nurtures new life within me. It becomes a place of protection and safety until I and the things within me are ready to emerge and be seen. Because there are some things too precious to be revealed or named in the presence of others. At least not right away. A new dream takes time to grow, and a new identity takes time to grow into. Both need time to incubate under the protection of a loving host. In solitude, we unfold into God's unique identity for each of us. Alone with our Creator, we hear the sound of our true voice rising and discover the new creation he is knitting in the enclosure of his love. As we end, here are some questions to ponder. What are some of the voices you need to withdraw from to hear God's voice? And how can you practice solitude as a path to discovering your true self? Let's end with a breath prayer. Inhale in the womb of solitude. And exhale, I receive my true self. I'm so grateful that you listened to today's episode. Thank you for spending time with me. I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on Instagram at TaylorJoy or through my website, taylorjoymurray.co. Also, if you enjoyed this conversation, it would mean so much to me if you took a minute to subscribe and review the podcast. This is an easy way to partner with me and is invaluable in reaching new listeners. Until next week.